Ideals like peace, freedom, and justice, they get packed up, but we can all go home. Well, I'm not going home. I'm gonna get on my boat, and I'm going upriver, and I'm going to kick that son of a bitch bison's ass so hard that the next bison wannabe is gonna feel it. Now, who wants to go home? And who wants to go with me?
Welcome to the Rated G for Gamers podcast, episode 211. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us. And if you want to show support for Rated G, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/ratedg4gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. I'm your host, Dave Rotino, and this is my co-host, Dan, the king of social distancing, Robinson.
It's the zombie apocalypse. It's over. We've been prepared for years. I've watched enough movies. I know what to do.
You mean it's happening. It's here.
It's happening. It's here.
Yeah.
I've boarded up all the windows. I've locked all the doors, and I have my hand sanitizer, so I'm good. Uh-huh. And I have enough toilet paper to last me until like summer.
I think we need to start every episode with your daily or your weekly CV update. Because, it's a huge thing. You can't not talk about it. It's out there. It's a thing. The world is affected by it. I think.
You know who benefits, though? There is somebody who benefits.
Well, there's a lot of people who benefit for sure. But,
okay. All right.
But tell me who benefits.
Person.
Okay.
The number one type of people that benefits, people who have backlog game collections.
Oh, 100%. You don't know how many games I've been tearing into, Dan. I have been opening up the plastic. I have been putting in old favorites. I've been dusting off the collection. It's been good in that respect.
Yeah, more time home. I got to tell you, I didn't even know I had half the games I had. I was like, wow, wow. I got all the Need for Speeds. Didn't even.
Barbie Horse Adventure 2?
I didn't even know they made 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and yet somehow you own it.
It's been crazy. I think the one issue, there's several issues, but the one of the major issues is when this quarantine first happened, I was like, I want to go see Sonic. Like, I wanted to go to the movies, right? And it was like, well, that you can't do now. But Sonic is actually coming out. They're actually releasing it digitally early, like super early. It's coming out next week or this week, I should say.
And it's funny because that movie did like really well. It was the best video game movie opening weekend, for sure, which isn't necessarily a high bar, but even by like standard movie metrics, it still did pretty well. I thought it was a fantastically fun movie. They set up the SCU. There's potentially going to be like sequels, so I'm kind of hype. It's kind of bad all around for movies because a lot of the movies that were coming out or just came out are now going to be on-demand rentals because nobody can go out. They basically closed everything. So
yeah, all the movie theaters are closed officially now.
Yeah,
and Hollywood is shut down. Like all production of movies and TV shows have been shut down. Which is gonna, I wonder how that's gonna play out for like the fall. All the new shows come out in the fall. I wonder if that's gonna be delayed.
I think it's gonna have to. They usually do stuff over the summer, right, and kind of get some episodes ready to go, and then continue to.
Well, they shoot them now.
Yeah,
they shoot them now, and then like over the summer they're editing them, getting them ready to debut on throughout the fall. But and then a lot of movies are delayed either indefinitely or until next year.
I know.
Which I get that, which pushes back potential sequels. Are we talking about that, like Fast and Furious?
Rip Fast now.
but some movies are just coming straight out on demand. I mean, Invisible Man.
You have to. I mean, because
you can rent it right now.
Yeah. Which, honestly, like, since everybody is home, their numbers may be pretty good, right? You're not going to get a $17 movie ticket, right? So your box office numbers may be a little bit. I don't know how they like gauge the metric, right? Is it like the cost of the ticket times like how many people like saw that movie? Because like the rental price is not the same as the movie theater price, right? It's like $5-6 or whatever it is.
$5.
Yeah, exactly. So
compared to the $16 or $18 movie ticket you would have paid for.
Right. So I don't know how they like rectify those metrics, but a hell of a ton of people. I mean, I know a bunch of people who have seen it already, and there's a hell of a ton of more people who are gonna see it because they don't have anything to do at home, right? Why not? See some movies.
Well, Dave, we got to work out a deal here. We got to work out some type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have Hulu or something? Do you have Hulu?
I do. I have the Hulu. Got
Okay,
Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon Prime.
So I think I'm gonna buy Disney Plus.
I will make that trade with you, Dan. 100%.
I think I need that Hulu. I think I need that Hulu password.
I got you. I will tell you off camera. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. Yeah, we'll make that happen. I am 100% down.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get Disney Plus.
You got it, man. Because I haven't seen The Mandalorian yet, which is the exact reason why you need to get it. Because I need to see The Mandalorian.
I want to see The Mandalorian. I think it's time. I think I was gonna wait until they had more exclusive stuff on there, but I've seen everything on Netflix.
Yeah, right. There's only so much exclusive content, right?
There's only so many documentaries about killers I can watch.
Oh my God, I know. There's tons of them on there, and they're great.
I know. It's only so many Snap episodes I can watch. I mean, I need some fun in my life.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
I need some Disney characters.
Yeah, so. I need a little story in a galaxy far, far away.
And I gotta watch that. I gotta watch the last episode or the last season. They brought back the last season of the Star Wars animated show. So
that's right, that. Rebels, right? Yeah.
I love the Rebels,
it.
and they abruptly canceled that because when Disney bought Star Wars. So I want to see the last season of that. Ahsoka, and I don't know if you're a big. I don't know if you watch. She's really an animated series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rosie O'Donnell.
Not Rosie
Dawson. Right?
Rosario Dawson.
Rosie
O'Donnell, Rosario Dawson. They are two very different people in every sense of the word.
As anybody knows who listens to the show, I am terrible with names. Right?
Oh yeah, no.
At work, I'm terrible at names. I butcher everybody's name, or I just flat out forget it and mix it up with somebody else. I always say Christopher North. Right.
Listen. He sometimes forgets my name. All right. I don't take it personal. It happens.
Yeah, Old Man Rotino. I can't forget that. So, all right. Well, while all cinemas, movie theaters are all closed down, there is one place that's open that is essential according to them, and that's GameStop.
Oh, God.
GameStop's still open everywhere.
Oh, God.
Well, except for California.
Yeah.
I think they just closed the California stores.
Yeah. So, internet's aflame with this. And I think rightfully so. They're a game shop, right? And yes, games are crucial in this time of self-quarantine, in this time of don't go outside, in this time of businesses all being shut down. You need stuff to do, and the games keep you indoors. But you're endangering employees' lives to sell copies of Madden. You can get these digitally online. I hate to say it, but you can get the games online. You can download them. The infrastructure is there.
Well, to play devil's advocate just for a second, because I agree with you. I do agree with you.
Okay.
And they should close. And if they're not going to close, they should take extra precautions like other stores, which I'll talk about my experience a little later in the show. But, they put out like a press release, and all essential stores or supermarkets, pharmacies,
hospitals,
and I think certain electronic stores, like even Target, I think is open. If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. I haven't walked past the Target or anything.
Yeah, but they are as of last week. Yeah.
places that sell like computers, keyboards, mouses, routers,
Mice.
which are essential to living in today, in today's age.
You need
we're not in the
equipment to
Middle
stay
Ages.
connected. Yeah, you need equipment to stay connected. So that might
Yeah.
kind of make sense.
To be fair, GameStop does sell those things. They're not at the forefront of their business plan, but they do sell those things. And there are certain GameStops, not in my neighborhood or in California or anything. Yeah, but there are certain GameStops that are like sort of off the beaten path, where in rural areas where people do go to GameStop to get a keyboard, right? Because there is no Best Buy or Target, or another electronic store sort of in that vicinity or town.
Sure, and they would be
right?
they would kind of be providing that service and whatnot.
Yeah. And in those cases, I can understand them being open. But if you're like a GameStop in the big city next to Best Buy, Target, Walmart, or anything like that, there is no reason why you should be open. I totally agree. Or take the proper precautions. So,
well, do you think in some fashion that they're like, look, we can't close our stores because then we don't make any money, right? They only make so
they
much
close
off
if
the
they
online.
close for like a month. I think they're done.
That's what I'm saying, So there's definitely an ulterior motive there, but you can do it right, and we'll go ahead and talk about that a little bit later, because I think you had an experience where there's stores that do it right, and they're able to kind of stay open and service the general public and provide something that people need, and it kind of works out.
And just to be fair, everyone, I heard people like, "Where's Reggie? Where's Reggie?" Reggie doesn't start until the end of April. Okay, so they're trying to keep the doors open until Reggie can start and be their savior.
Yeah, seriously.
So, but GameStop is not the only one from a corporate standpoint. They're not the only ones that are irresponsible, right? There are people that are irresponsible. There are people that just don't care. I mean, there are still college kids on spring break. Right?
Oh my
Which
God.
is ridiculous. And I actually saw this one. I was watching TV and I saw this. They were like interviewing spring breakers. The guy and the kid was just like, "If I get the virus, I get the virus. Who cares?" Right? Like,
Oh, that kid is he's gonna be infamous for the rest of his life.
He's like, "Hey,
it's just bad.
People who are dying are like old people."
Yeah, it's fine. I don't have to worry, but you can carry the disease. You don't understand. If you get infected, you probably won't have it. You'll be asymptomatic. You won't know that you have it, and then you're going to infect all these other people that will also probably be fine. But the thing of it is, you are now all carriers. So when you come in contact with an old person and then you give it to them, well, they're effed.
Well,
It's terrible.
Well, he should check the study. He should check the new statistics, because 40% of people who are in a hospital who are really ill or under the age of 54 or 58.
There you go. But no, he doesn't need to look at numbers. He needs to party on the beach because he paid money for his trip.
So we don't have a segment where we call out. We don't have a donkey of a day like the guys at Hot 97. We don't call out eBay guys, trash eBay guys like
right. Scumbag seller
Ian and Pat.
Scumbag,
but we should have a
seller
segment.
of the week.
We should have a segment for doofus of the month. And that's this guy in Italy, where he took his kid. And first of all, Italy is like the epicenter right now.
It's insane.
They
It's
have
like
it
worse
worse
than
than
China.
any other country.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This guy took his son and just ignored the curfew, and he's going into places that are like sort of restricted areas to catch Pokemon on Pokemon Go.
Dan, come on now. He has to upgrade his Charmander. He can't be walking around with a unevolved Charizard. He's got to get there. The only way he's going to get there is by traveling to the gym. The game enforces you basically to walk around town and to get exercise out in the wild. How can he get a Charmander? How can he get a Charizard? Ugh. Dude,
The guy
that's
should
terrible.
just buy a Switch and get a different type. We got two different Pokemon games on the Switch.
Exactly.
3 different Pokemon games on the Switch. Just buy a Switch.
Exactly. Or play any of the ones on 3DS or DS or Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color. Ugh. God, I want to wring that guy's neck out.
You know what? I don't even care that he put his life in danger.
He
but
put his
took
kid's
his
life.
son. He took his son with him.
Yeah. Like,
that's ridiculous.
And I know why you took a son, because you can't leave your kid at home, because that'd just be bad parenting. So I'm going to take my kid out into the freaking 12 Monkeys apocalypse, and we'll be fine. Ugh, that's terrible.
So,
I saw some kids in my neighborhood who were on Friday. I ended up going out for a run and just kind of trying to get some fresh air. And you do your social distancing, and you stay away, and you move out of the way when people try and pass you, and you don't touch anything, you don't touch anybody, carry the hand sanitizer. I did all that, right? But there's kids legit playing like 3-on-3, 5-on-5 basketball, full court, smashing into each other, hands on the faces, flagrant fouls everywhere. Like,
hey, maybe they had gloves on. Maybe they had clear
terrible.
gloves. You couldn't see. They were shooting with clear gloves.
Listen. Those kids don't care like the kids down in Florida don't care.
Maybe they had maybe they wiped the ball with hand sanitizer.
It's not. You got to wash your hands. That's how you get rid of it for 20 seconds. Nobody did that before. And hopefully they did it after they played, but highly doubtful. Ugh.
Maybe they had the ball soaking in soapy water and alcohol. You never know. You never know.
God, I sure hope so. Sure hope so.
So movies are delayed, stores are closed. Well, not GameStop. It's even affecting DLC, right? So the Smash Brothers Ultimate DLC, Fire Pack, the second one, that we're going to get like 6 new fighters. That's been postponed indefinitely. So
yeah.
So it's funny because people thought maybe, this would be it, and maybe we'll get another Smash Brothers game at the end of the Switch life cycle. No, this game is going to last the whole entire life cycle of the Switch.
Well,
This is going into 2021.
Yeah, I mean, trust me. Whenever they get around to putting out new DLC, whenever this
2021,
all blows
2022.
Over, sure. Whenever that ends up dropping, fans are still going to be like going wild in the streets. Right? Smash is eternal. Right? Everybody loves Smash. People are still playing Melee like it's the new hot fresh thing. So. Not surprising. Not surprising that they're like putting this on delay. Like even though you can do computer work remotely and you can do all that, I think it's like a cultural thing. They want everybody together, be collaborative, and they're like, look, it's in our best interest to put this on hold right now. We have bigger fish to fry. We want everybody to stay safe. And I guess that's where Sakurai is coming from. I'm assuming it was his decision, right?
Yeah, I would assume so too. Or maybe a collaborative. It could have been a collaborative effort.
Sure, they're all just kind of like, look, working on the DLC is not the most important thing right now. So
no, it's not. No, it's definitely not the most important thing. But also being delayed. I know what you said earlier. We hate the digital future. It's coming, right? Yeah. And you said, "Hey, don't go to GameStop. All these games or you can get it digitally."
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice luxury we have now.
So, with everything being delayed, new game shipments after after this week, anything coming out in April, game shipments probably is going to be in low supply, right?
Yeah.
And that counts for Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII Remake won't be delayed. It will come out on time.
Hey.
But they warn that physical copies may be hard to get, may be scarce, because production sort of, I guess, halted.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Recently. So,
oh, yeah. Like, even if you have it, like, pre-ordered, your pre-order is probably going to be delayed if you're having it shipped. You may be able to go to GameStop and pick it up if you pre-ordered it, but, their shipments may be delayed, too. Who knows? Because everything's just kind of wacky wild right now. But I'm glad that Square is able to get it out more or less on time, because they already had a delay from March into April to put some final polish on it. So,
God, if we had Final Fantasy VII Remake right now.
Oh my God, yeah, that you'd be fine. Like, even though it's 1/3 the game, like it's huge enough that you should be able to be good for a good couple of weeks, at least a month, with that game. Like, they're just going to jam pack it full of cool stuff. So,
all right. So, as I mentioned earlier, I actually did go to a retail store because I I had to pick up physical copies. I could not buy the digital. It would go against everything I believe in my soul to get a digital copy. I had to go get a physical copy of Animal Crossing New Horizons for the Switch, and I got Doom Eternal for the PS4.
Dan,
but where would I go? Where would I go to buy it? I actually went to my job over the week just to pack up some files and steal a printer. Because I have since I'm working from home, I like to print stuff. I gotta
exactly.
I gotta have the physical. See, I'm a physical guy. I gotta have the physical file. I don't want the digital file on my screen. I want the physical file. See, I'm not a hypocrite. I carry this in all aspects of my life.
No. I like it.
So, so I had to go. Actually, I had to go to FedEx because I had to get the mail. I had to go make sure we had no important mail. Maybe the last mail we ever get.
Oh, sure.
Who knows, in the zombie apocalypse. So I had to go to FedEx to overnight it to our offices in New Jersey. And Best Buy is like 2 blocks away from FedEx. So I said, all right, let me go to Best Buy and see if I can pick up Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal. Okay. I went there and I was kind of wary. I had gloves on, right? I had my hand sanitizer.
Yeah, of course.
I had Lysol wipes. I was ready. And Best Buy, I gotta give them credit. We've definitely haven't had the kindest words to say about Best Buy in the past, but Best Buy, if they're gonna, they were open and they did it right. If they're gonna do it right. And they definitely, I would say, in my view, protected their employees. I saw there was a little line outside. It was like 4 or 5 people, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe you gotta, maybe there's a time limit, right? Like maybe there's a time limit how long you can be in the store, and certainly you can't be more than 10 people in the store, maybe. No, that line was for people who bought something on the app and waited to get picked up.
Yeah.
So I was like, the guy told me, the security guy said, hey, come here. What do you want? Do you know what you want? I said, yeah, I want to get 2 video games. So he went inside. I stayed outside. He got the person that was in the game section. She came out. She said, what games do you want? Do you know what you want? I said, yeah, I want Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal, PS4 and Switch. So she said, okay, I'll be right back. She went, got it. Showed it to me. She said, these are games you want? I say yes. She said, okay, come in so I can pay for it. I was in Best Buy for less than 2 minutes. I literally went in through the front door right there, paid for the games, and left. And I told her, don't hand me the games. Just put it in the bag that I sprayed with disinfected and it has Lysol wipes inside. Just throw it in the bag.
If you have to go to a retail store or a food market or whatever, that is the way to do it. And look, hey, we're a video game podcast, so we need games to play. We love physical games, right? If we have the opportunity to get a physical copy, we're going to try and do it. So I can't totally fault you for going to Best Buy, Got to limit the social interactions where you can, but you can't completely hole yourself off from the world, right? It's just impossible. So, you do what you can. And I think you did everything right in that scenario. So, and I think Best Buy's doing everything right. Best Buy did too. Yeah.
And right when I was coming out, I heard there was a lady behind me. Right when I was going in to pay for it, there was a lady behind me and she wanted a laptop. And the guy said, do you know what laptop do you want? And she says, yeah, it's between this one and this one. And the guy said, all right, you can come in. You got 5 minutes.
Right. And then we're kicking you out. Make a decision and then go.
Yeah. So it was like, all right, come in. I'm gonna show you both laptops that you're referring to. You pretty much got 5 minutes. Like you can't be you got to make a decision. You got to leave because we got other customers that probably want something as well.
So if she had that situation where it was just one or the other, I would be like, all right, I'll pull them up on my phone or whatever. Like if I didn't know the models, I'd be like, all right, look, you're going to want to get this one. I would make the call for her and say, look, you should get this one. All right. And then just kind of make that happen.
Well, hey, you know what? He probably did. I don't know. During the 5 minutes she was there, I'm sure he gave his recommendations of which one.
Because I would just be worried if she was a carrier and then she came in the store and she was touching things and this and that. It's like, well, now you got to disinfect the whole entire store again. There's no way around it,
Yeah.
But oh man.
But I do have all right. So I got the physicals.
Yeah.
For Animal Crossing and Doom.
Okay.
I got to bring up a Game of Grief. I have to bring this Game of Grief up.
Oh boy.
I didn't think I would have one in the zombie apocalypse. I thought the zombie apocalypse would be my grief.
I assume you got to play both games. Is that correct or no?
No, that is not correct. You know why? Because I have not played Doom. I haven't played Doom yet. You know why I haven't played Doom yet?
I don't know. Long install time, maybe?
You need to log in to your Bethesda Net account.
Oh, this again?
Yes.
Yeah.
And guess who doesn't remember his Bethesda Net account?
Yeah, of course.
Password and user.
Of course, because it's stupid. They did this when they put like Doom and Doom 2 on the Nintendo Switch. They also had and I think maybe Doom 64 too. They also had that whole you have to sign into the Bethesda Net account to play this game, which is all offline.
Well, Doom 64 just came out. I haven't purchased it yet. It's only like $3, $2, right?
Yeah.
I hope I don't have to do that. I'm gonna buy it on the Switch.
Yeah, but they had this before. It was insane, and everyone was up in arms. And then Bethesda made it optional and not a requirement, so you could just bypass it. I'm surprised that. I know, because
they left it on Doom Eternal.
Like, I know their intention, like they want to have a Doom community, like a dashboard type thing that has like all of your achievements and your accomplishments and all the games you played, and like kind of a social network specifically just for Doom. And they can only do that if you're logged in, so they can track everything. You know, it's kind of like what they did with Halo. Halo had their big thing like all the way back to Halo 3, I think, like all your achievements and everything. Maybe in Halo 2, all your stuff was like collated it and like online. And it was like kind of neat, but you just had to be on Xbox Live. You already were logged into it. There was no additional login on top of like your Nintendo account or your Xbox Live account. So yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty damn bad. So you didn't get to play Doom Eternal.
I didn't get to play Doom, but I did play Animal Crossing: New Horizons.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know what you're saying, Dave. You didn't think this was going to be my jam, and I was
still saying that, Dan.
I was out to prove you wrong. I was like, you know what? You don't know what my jam is.
I don't.
You don't know what my jam is.
All right.
I tell you what my jam is.
All right. So what do you think of Animal Crossing?
It's kind of not my jam.
I told you.
All right. So look. I'm not a decorator. All right. So decorating is terrible. You know. I have a bed. I have a lamp. I have a box, which I put they give you a Nintendo Switch in the game. I have a Nintendo Switch on top of the box. So that's my decorating. I'm going around, exploring things. I got a lot of animals for the museum. Fishing is the most frustrating thing. I have to tell you. Fishing in Nintendo games are always the most frustrating thing.
Yeah.
I hate fishing. I just want to be like. I want to be like Link in Breath of the Wild and go in and beat the fish.
Yeah. Yeah, our friend, it's funny, I was on Twitter yesterday, and our friend Matt was commenting on that same thing. Like, he's like, if I get one more sea bass, I'm gonna go crazy.
Well, it's easier to get the smaller fish. It's harder when you see, because what you do, you see a shadow in the water, right? And you cast your line, and I thought I got the rhythm down where it pokes it like 2 times, and then on the 3rd time you pull up, right? And you're like struggling to pull it up. Sometimes the big fish they go for it the first time, and I wasn't ready. I was ready for them to hit it 3 times.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. Fishing is the most frustrating thing ever. I gotta say, it's annoying.
Well, you gotta have something to work towards. You gotta have something to work towards, Dan. All right.
But I almost have enough money to play Tom Nook for my vacation.
Oh yeah, well he's a fucking shyster, right? He's like you come to the island, you're gonna be in debt because you got to get a house right away, right?
Well, no, he's super nice. He's super nice. He showed
Until
me
it's
the
time
ropes.
to pay
Everyone
up.
is super nice. I can't change the name of my island, and I give you 3 guesses. What I named my island? Rated G.
Oh.
So,
really? What you didn't let me guess? I thought you were gonna call it Vita Island.
I almost did.
I love the solidarity, Dan. I love the solidarity, but I thought you were going to call it Vita Island.
I almost called it Vita Island. I was like, call it Rated G.
Rated G?
Rated
Nice.
G. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, you know why?
It.
Because I thought the island would be called whatever the name is, Island.
Oh,
it
yeah.
would be Vita Island, and I was like, that's stupid.
Right.
But apparently it's not. It's whatever the name is, and that's
is the full name.
They don't refer to it as the name and island. It's whatever it is, right?
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
I should have said Vita Island. That was a good one, but I'm sure it's taken somewhere. So no, the game is it's okay. It's listen, I'm living my best life.
There you go. There you go. Just
the thing
like
I
little
didn't
Duval.
expect. Well, the thing I didn't expect, which is really cool, is that they have whatever time of day it is in real life, it will be the same time of day in the game.
Oh, no way. Right. So it's based on our 24-hour clock. Oh, good.
Yeah, so like I was playing it at 1 a.m. and it was dark outside and it said it's 1 a.m. So I was like, oh, cool. Like that's why it's dark. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
it took a long time for it to be dark.
So you know what that means? If there's things that only come out at night or happen at night or events or whatever, it means you have to play it during nighttime. All right? You basically have to put it down, wait, go on with your day, and then come back to it later in the day and say, oh, now I can do this, this, and this.
I hope not.
Which I think is kind of cool. I don't know. I think it's like kind of neat because there's probably enough stuff in the game to keep you busy that you're like, all right, well, I can't do this stuff now, but I can do it later. So I'm going to do this other stuff now.
Well, people
right?
weren't sleeping, right? Like people were out and about. Like, it was like 2 a.m. and I'm just 1 a.m. and I'm just like, I go in. Tom Nook is still doing the same thing he was doing at 3 in the afternoon.
There you go, man. He's got to collect that rent. He's got to make the dough.
It would have been cool. I would say it would have been cooler if I'm playing 1 a.m, everyone's sleeping, right? Like that to me, that would have been like kind of cool. Like,
oh, sure. Sure.
So I played that, and I also played the Resident Evil 3 remake demo.
I also have played the Resident Evil 3 remake demo, which
your thoughts?
Well, I had originally thought that it was a online stress test because there's 2 demos. There's Resident Evil Resistance, which is a online like 4v1, right? It's like you versus Nemesis, right? And that's only at certain times. And I'm like, oh, I thought it was Resident Evil 3, the single player. And then you had told me, no, you got to go in and then go to the right because there's 2 different demos you can get. It was a little bit confusing.
Definitely confusing because I thought it was out on the 19th.
Yep.
And I went and I kept seeing just the regular game, and I was like,
that's right.
I don't see the demo. Right. And then like later on, I'm seeing people do playthroughs of the demo on YouTube. I was like, no, this thing is out. I don't know. Like, where is this thing? And I went into the game and I'm like, oh, this is weird. Why didn't they just make it its own thing like they did the Resident Evil 2 remake?
Right. So,
as a side note, if you haven't bought Resident Evil 2 remake and you want to play it, the demo's still out, but they took away the 30-minute time limit.
And they added in an Easter egg. Apparently, at the end of it, I think, or outside the police station, you can hear Nemesis like whispering his name as like a little like nod to the new one. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, there was another Easter egg that they put in it at the beginning. Resident Evil 1. Who left? Was it Brad? Brad is the one that left you in the helicopter.
The dude in the helicopter. Yeah,
I think his name was Brad, if I'm not mistaken. And there was like a little glitch in 2, and because like there was something you had to do in 2, and then you see Brad, he's a zombie, and you kill him.
Yeah, basically, if you get to the sewers, someplace underground, without collecting any items whatsoever, you just run past all the zombies and whatnot. He will like pop up as a zombie.
But the continuity is weird because in 3, Nemesis kills him.
Yeah. So
he doesn't. But if you do that same thing in 2, the remake, he doesn't appear. However, he does appear. Like if you go into like some room on the side, there's a poster that recruits you for the police force, and he's in the poster.
That's funny. Yeah, like that dude. For anyone who doesn't know, that dude legit. In the opening cutscene, the live-action cutscene, Brad in the helicopter's like, fuck this, I'm out. He leaves everyone to die. He's like, where are you going? He's like, nah. I'm like, you're in the air right now. The zombies are not going to get you. They can't fly as far as we know. As far
as you know.
Yeah, that's kind of effed up. It's kind of effed up.
But let's keep with tradition. I played Resident Evil 3 Remake, the demo. And like my tradition of playing all the other Resident Evil games, with the exception of Resident Evil 1, when it first came out, I played it for probably less than 5 minutes. I got eaten by like 5 zombies. I called it a night. I went back to Animal Crossing.
Yeah, it's not your jam. There you go. You know, like you said before.
100% not my jam.
Not your jam.
On that note, I am not into spooky games. Conserving ammo is not a thing that I'm used to. Especially when I start playing Doom, where you can get a bunch of ammo drops if you use a chainsaw. So not into. And I shot the zombie in the head, and it still got up.
Oh no, they are like sponges now. It's ridiculous.
No, I'm good. Give me Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, I mean it's the same as 2. Same exact engine, right? It's still the latest and greatest RE engine. I forget the name of it offhand, but and honestly, like I remember playing 3. I rented 3 from Blockbuster back in the day. I'm like, ooh, let me go ahead and play 3. 3 is the same as 2, like gameplay wise. They didn't really add too much new. There's a new character, Carlos. He's cool, but it's like him and Jill from the first one. She came back, so Claire and Leon aren't in this one. But it's fun, if you like Resident Evil, you're going to like this one. It looks beautiful, it played really well, smooth frame rate. So, I'm going to get it. I'll play it. I'll beat it. Sad there's no VR, but that's it's not their jam with this one. So,
yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll get it when it's on discount. And it'll go right where Resident Evil 3 is. All
right. So I have been playing more than just Resident Evil. I also got back into Death Stranding, which is very appropriate fitting for what's going on right now. Like the king of social distancing, Sam Porter Bridges, right? He's out there.
Kojima saw the future.
Yeah. He is an essential worker, so he needs to be out there in the wastes, battling against the BTs, which I guess is that version of the CV, right? But yeah, I'm making some damn good progress. I'm already in the mountains, so I'm in mountain time, right? I'm almost to California, so I'm making my way across. Definitely a bunch of cool new revelations, so very excited about that. And then finally, these have all been PS4 games, by the way, Dan. And finally, I ripped into the game that I bought at PAX, our tradition of going to Limited Run. I bought Battle Garegga, which is a old arcade game, and it was ported by M2. M2 does a lot of Sega ports. They are very, very good. M2 did the recent Virtua Racing. They did a lot of the Sega Ages games, which are phenomenal. They go above and beyond. It's a shooter, but on top of it just being a shooter, on the sides of the screen, right, because it is a vertical game, so they have all this like space on the sides. There's all these like stats about your gameplay, and there's like there's a control sheet on the left hand side, and on the right is your like performance chart, and it's like crazy. There's so much additional info going on in the game. It is a crazy bullet hell game. There's just and the longer you stay alive, the harder the game gets, which is insane. So as you start collecting power-ups and going, there's more. I think there's more enemies and like more bullets come on the screen. So they just keep like ratcheting up the skill until you end up dying, which I died very quickly. I made it up to like stage 4. It's about the best I can do right now. But
nice.
Oh yeah,
I never heard of that game. You were like, as soon as you saw it in Limited Run, you were like, yes, I gotta get this game. And I was like,
well, they did. Yeah, I didn't know about it until My Life in Gaming had it. Had like a video about it. I think they did it like one of their Sunday night streams, and I was like, oh, this is like super cool. It was like mid to late 90s game that came out in the arcade. Fantastic. Yeah, it's very good. If you can find a copy, get a copy.
So why don't we take a break, and when we come back, we'll get into the top gaming news of last week.
And in a special segment on our show, we have returning guest Derek Lieu on the show to talk about the Half-Life Alyx trailer.
Hey, this is Matt Adler, freelance journalist for IGN, and you're listening to Rated G for Gamers podcast.
And we're back. All right, let's get into the top gaming news of last week. And we have to talk about, I mean, this is probably going to dominate everything we're going to talk about. Next gen. We got the specs. They're out. We know what the consoles, sort of what the specs are going to be. We still don't know what the PS5 looks like. Still don't know what the controller looks like. We know what the Xbox Series X looks like. And we got the full specs. And let's start with the Xbox. Because I know you're super excited. I mean, they did a whole in-depth video on sort of putting the console together, right?
Well,
like that was like super impressive. Like they had Evan, Austin Evans?
Yep.
Put the whole console together. Like they just had it all laid out, and it was easy to put it together.
Austin Evans was there. Digital Foundry was there. I mean, the reason I'm excited is because there's things to get excited about, right? Microsoft is they basically opened up. They opened up their playbook during the Game Awards to say, like, here's what it's going to look like, and here's a really slick trailer to get you excited. And then now, like, all this stuff that was, this is like GDC time, right? So I'm assuming there would have been, like, a lot more coverage, and it maybe would have been done in a slightly different way, like, who knows? But they got YouTubers in there, they got channels in there, they got people in there, hands-on, let's try it out, let's see how it goes. I mean, we got to see, like, real world, like, here's not any, like, Series X games, but, like, here's how, like, it's kind of going to run. We're swapping games in and out. Load times are really quick. On, like, the PlayStation side, we don't have any of that yet, so it's kind of hard
we got
to get
a lot
excited.
of, again, we got a lot of Xbox, sort of took the approach of let's give you the hype by giving you what everything looks like, right? And then when we save the boring stuff for all the tech guys, right? All the tech specs and all that. We'll do a thing with those guys and let them explain it, right? In sort of a interesting way, right? In a fun way. It's something. Mark Sony from Sony, brilliant guy. I won't take that away from him, but he's a little dry, right?
A little.
He's definitely a little dry. I would have liked to see Mark Sony sort of talk about the specs and why they chose the direction they chose, right? Like I would love to see him talk with like Austin Evans or something like that, or a guy from Digital Foundry, and they can bounce ideas and answer questions like, hey, well, why did you do it this way? And that's a great question. Let me tell you why, right? And that would have been a little bit more interesting than just have him sit there on a podium in front of what seemingly looked like a fake audience.
It was 100% a fake audience. Yeah.
I think the audience was real because the guy on the left scratched his head.
They had the one canned animation motion in the beginning, and then it was definitely a 3D render. Yeah, those were not, because if you look all throughout the rest of it, nobody was moving. Yeah, they was 100%. It was I was
just that interested in hearing Mark Cerny talk.
No, trust me.
But
they want to go ahead and social distance as much as possible. They're not gonna pack a room full of 5 people and be like, all right, here we go.
Well, it's less than 10. It's less than 10.
I mean,
less than 10 people. Well, it's all right. So let's go over. Why don't you tell me what the Xbox specs are, and then we'll go over the PS5 specs.
Sure,
and we'll compare and contrast.
Yeah, so it's a little bit heady. There's going to be a lot of numbers getting tossed around, but on like the CPU
give me the
side,
important number, Dave. Give me the teraflop. We're in a teraflop war.
Dan, hold your horses. Let's go ahead. Let's start with the CPU, right? So the CPU is an 8 times Zen 2. So there's 8 cores at 3.8 gigahertz, right? You can also do hyperthreading, which means you can get double the amount of cores on there. So you can have 16 different processes at a slightly lower clock speed at 3.6 gigahertz. So it's good. I think this is an important part. This is good for developers. Like if you need multiple processes running at the same time for your game, you can bump down the clock speed a little bit. If you only have a few processes, you can kind of like I don't necessarily want to say overclock it, but you can get a little more like juice out of it. All right. On the GPU side, they say the overall teraflop, which is what everyone's talking about now, 12 teraflops, which is very high, and we'll compare that to what PlayStation has. 52 compute units at 1.825 gigahertz. That's kind of important. So they have more compute units than the PlayStation, but running at a lower clock speed. And it's based on the RDNA 2, which is kind of AMD's like latest architecture, which we'll talk about on the PlayStation 1. That kind of falls into the same line. 16 gigs of RAM on board, GDDR6, which is the kind of the latest spec. Clock speeds on that should be pretty high. 1 terabyte of storage, not 2. Not 1.5, not 3, 1 terabyte of storage. It's NVMe SSD, which is very, very fast, and I think necessary, because there's a lot of data in these games, right? Like, we know, like, last year from, like, Red Dead Redemption, it was, like, over 100 gigs for that game, and there was a lot of data, right? So they're going to be pushing, like, even more. The optical drive is probably the least wow. It's a 4K UHD Blu-ray. It's the same in the Xbox Series. Xbox One X, they say they can do up to 120 FPS, potential for 8K in resolutions. Ray tracing built in. That's kind of the new buzzword now. Like we talked about, I think last week, right? The proprietary expandable storage slot on the back. We do know now that I believe SanDisk will be the exclusive provider of the memory chips, and they are proprietary, and they are probably going to be expensive.
Can you say Vita and PSP SD cards?
Oh, the memory stick duos? Yep. And everyone kind of criticized Sony for doing that, but they were like, look, these things need to run at a certain spec and speed. We need to have these things be custom. All right. So like I kind of get it. It sucks because they were expensive, and this is going to be expensive. It is compatible, I think, with all Xbox One accessories, right? Controllers, headsets, all that stuff. Your Xbox One controller will just work. Which is
it works
awesome.
vice versa. You can use your Xbox One controller with the Xbox Series X. You can use your Xbox Series X controller with your Xbox One.
Yeah. So I don't think the controller itself is going to be anything like crazy new over the current generation.
Well, it has a share button in the middle.
Yeah.
Just like the PS4 controller has a share button on the left-hand side of the gamepad. It sort of has that aerodynamic D-pad. Like the Elite controller.
Ergonomic.
Ergonomic D-pad that the Elite controllers have.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah, those were really nice.
And I guess it has and it's a little bit lighter. I think someone said like the controller is just like a little bit lighter, easy to hold.
Sure.
So that is hefty.
Right. And then like on top of that, around the backside, they did remove some stuff. So there's no optical output. If you had a home theater setup, you were running optical, it's no longer an option. It's going to be all HDMI, baby. That's it. So you're going to have to do some upgrades if you have like older hardware. And there's also no pass-through anymore, right? On the original, on the beta machine, like you like to call it, up until and through the Xbox One X, they had the extra HDMI port. You could hook up your cable box or a 360 or some other device, and it just kind of run through that system. And you'd get some additional features, right? You could use your cable box interface with your Xbox. So that's no longer going to be an option. And I guess the final thing is the power supply. Non-external is going to be an internal power supply. So you don't have to worry about a big wall wart, giant brick, like literal brick sitting behind your home entertainment center. Oh.
But that's good because, I mean, that brings to sort of the design of the box, right? Because all the airflow. I mean, it's not just a box that just sits flat. It sits like sort of on a cylinder type of case, right? So air can go up and through the machine and out to the top, right? And you're going to need that if you have an internal power supply.
100%. It's going to get hot.
It's definitely going to heat up.
Right.
All the
And
power it's going to be using, it's definitely going to heat up.
And they did have like you mentioned before about like the teardown and the kind of hands-on. Like they had Digital Foundry and they had Austin Evans like rebuild the thing and put it back together.
Rebuild the console.
Yeah. And they had some magnets on there to help like keep some stuff in place, but it was like kind of neat to see how everything like fit together. And they have like a big metal chassis in the middle that kind of separates the two sides, right? The CPU system on a chip goes on one side, and I think the graphics card went on the other, and like some other chips. So there's a big unit went on the back, power supply on the bottom, Blu-ray drive, and then the big fan at the top, more or less. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this. And I don't know about you, Dan, but it felt a little like Apple architecture, right? A little bit of Apple industrial design, right? Everything felt clean, kind of all fit together. I don't know about you.
From the sort of how they put it together, how they designed the insides, I think it misses that Apple pizzazz of how the outside looks, because Apple always makes sure that the outside is just as cool as like sort of the inside, and the outside is just a square box, right? A rectangular box, right?
Yeah.
So the outside part lacks that Apple touch, but definitely the how you put the machine together does have sort of an Apple feel to it.
Yeah, like they literally used every inch of that inside to it. And it all like it's like all designed in a way where the air will just, flow right up and flow out of the system. It's just one single giant fan, one custom fan at the top that kind of sucks all the air out.
And it just goes to show you when they put out the Xbox Series X SAD edition, right? The box is just going to be a little bit smaller because it's not going to
have a drive in there. Yeah.
So they can make it even smaller.
Yeah. So there was no mention of a diskless version at this
which
point.
Which they're not going to do yet. They're not going to do that yet.
Well, I mean,
the E3 presentation is probably going to be where they show you every single thing in the games and then say, "Oh yeah, and we have a second version. If you don't want the optical disk drive, if there's
that's what I'm saying.
Apocalypse,
yeah.
Then you're gonna have like that's. I don't think they're going to mention any of that now. They're going to focus on their main console, which is this, and then they'll put up with the cheaper version. Because remember, we don't have the price yet, right? And people are speculating this is a $500, $600, $700 console.
Yeah, seven would be astronomical. Seven is Neo Geo prices.
They're gonna have to take a loss on each console. But because of the price, and that's the one thing we don't know. That and games other than Halo. I think that's when when they have the full on reveal of everything. That's when we'll see the diskless version, because that will be cheaper, right? So that'll soften the blow of the $600, maybe $700 console that this machine is going to be.
I'm gonna say $550 for this. It's definitely not $4. It's definitely not $4. It's probably $550. $7 is not gonna fly. I don't think. $7's gonna be a little too high, because not even like PlayStation 3 was $6. Right?
I say $599.
$599. I think it's gonna be as pricey as the PS3.
I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be $599, and the diskless version will be $4.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Sony and Microsoft.
I'm gonna buy it, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Sony and Microsoft are just playing chicken with each other, and they're like, "No, you go first. No, you go first." Right? They nobody wants to drop the price until the other person drops the price, and they're going to wait as long as possible to reveal what the price is. Because if Sony comes out and says, if Sony comes out and pulls like a PlayStation, the original PlayStation conference where they just come out and say $299 because Sega effed up and put their system out at $399, they're like, nah, we're gonna go ahead and beat that. And that was their whole press conference. Like Sony may just come out and be like, nah, ours is gonna be $450. And I was like, well, holy shit. Like, if it's $50 cheaper, why would you not get the system that on paper looks very similar to the Xbox Series X? So
that would be funny if it was $299. We're going to take a big loss on this system.
Right?
Because we want to put it in the hands of the gamers.
You got to get the install base in there, and then we'll make it up on the games. That'd be crazy. Well, one thing I thought that was really cool that they did show was the backwards compatibility support. And they did some HDR demos, right? You know, HDR is super wide color space. Things look beautiful. Whites look white. Blacks look black. You can only do that if your game is programmed to support HDR and your device supports that extended color range, right? Me and you both have HDR TV, so we've seen it, and it looks amazing. They did a demo with Fusion Frenzy, an Xbox original launch title. That was Bill Gates' favorite game on the original Xbox, by the way. And they managed to, in the hardware, do HDR support for that game. And they had the little like heat map, and you could see like where the areas of like the HDR color was. So that was insane. Like let alone a game you're actually going to play like Halo. They like did it with Halo 5, and it was like, look, here's like HDR where this game shipped with no HDR support, and that's all thanks to the Xbox Series X. So I was like, wow, that's like super cool. And then they did the ray tracing thing, right? They had Minecraft, and they're like, here's what like ray tracing can do. And you saw all the dynamic lighting and all the real-time lighting from all the light sources. Like that looked like super cool.
I think the biggest thing that this generation is going to do is load times, right?
Oh, that
like,
too.
That's it. I mean, we first heard about that with the Spider-Man demo, right? For the PS5 when they were showing off.
Loads up in 6 seconds or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, which they should have did again. Mark Sony should have did that again, right? To give sort of us laymen, you know, us real deep tech guys sort of like, well, what does all this do, right?
Right. What's the
Xbox
end result of that? Yeah.
Xbox sort of had a game, paused it, left it there, went to another game, paused it, right? And they went back to the other game right where they left off, and then paused that and went back to the other game right where they left off.
Yeah, so you can like cache up to like 4 or 5 games and instantly like you get back into it like super quick. So that was awesome.
That's awesome. And again, they played Hori and the Will-O-Wisp. He did play Fusion Frenzy, played another game, and they all look great, right?
Yeah.
Upscaled on the Xbox Series X. So definitely excited about that. But chat me up the PS5 specs, because Mark Cerny, to be fair, this was a boring press conference, but it wasn't meant for the masses. It was meant as a GDC panel to talk to developers, which IGN and GameSpot and all the outlets would have been at, and sort of relayed the message to the public in probably a better way, right? So we would have probably never seen this live, and they should have just dropped it and said, hey, this is for developers. This is not for the mass audience, right? So, because we were expecting to see, there's going to be a press conference. We were expecting to see the controller and see some footage or something.
Yeah, I mean, right? Like, you know, they definitely could have couched it in a better way. The biggest thing that came out of this, I guess there was 2 things. One was their like spec sheet, and 2 was their new like 3D audio technology, like the Tempest audio.
They went really hard into 3D audio.
They did. And we can get into that in just like a little bit, because that was something that Microsoft didn't necessarily have in their feature. None whatsoever. It was like, they're going to support surround sound and this and that and all the latest codecs and all that. But there's some interesting stuff here with the audio. But like specs first, right? So they're also using AMD technology. It's the RDNA 2 graphics tech, which is the same tech that Xbox is using. It is a different graphic chip, but similar. 36 compute units, right? Where the Xbox had 52. So more compute units, but they have 36 running at 2.33 gigahertz, right? So that's where kind of the bump comes in for PlayStation, right? They can be run at a variable frequency, right? Their total GPU power, like if you want the aggregate number, the teraflops, 10.28 is what they're saying, right? Which is 1 3/4 under what the GPU power for the Xboxes, which we know that teraflops aren't necessarily the end-all be-all, right? It's part of the equation.
So the teraflop wars are over already?
No,
So
I mean, it was already conflated. It was already conflated a lot to begin with. It's not over.
We had the bit wars, and now I thought the teraflop wars were just beginning.
It's one measurement in the whole entire thing.
7 years from now, I'm expecting 21 teraflops.
Well, it's a good way to measure graphical power, but it's not the overall picture.
Yeah.
16 gigs of GDDR6 RAM, which is the same as the Xbox, right? It's a 256 memory interface, which is good. They say 448 gigabits per second memory bandwidth, which is pretty damn good. And then one of the final things, the 3D audio support, right? They have this new Tempest audio technology. They say they can give you 3D positional surround sound, right? You basically can be like, oh, I hear the gunshots coming from the back left corner of the room or whatever, right? Even on a 2-channel setup, right? They have this Tempest audio is what they're like calling it, and they went like basically the log line is this, right? I'm gonna read this from I think we got this from maybe The Verge or something, but fascinatingly, to accurately create 3D audio, Sony needs data called the head related transfer function, right? Which is unique to every person. Based on their ear and head shape, right? There'll be at least 5 profiles available at launch based on over 100 people, and you'll be able to configure this based on your personal optimum settings, right? But the manufacturer wants to find a way to perfectly personalize this data for every user, and this may involve you eventually taking and uploading photos of your ears, right? So what Cerny is describing here and like what he's saying is that everybody processes sound differently, right? And he did a bunch of charts and this and that. This is the super dry part of the whole presentation, right? Threw up all this stuff and was like, well, here's what my like head chart is, and here's what the average person is, and like things were like all over the place, right? So everybody processes sound differently, right? There'll be 5 kind of standard profiles which you can like set up and like, oh, like this one sounds better to me, or this audio profile sounds better to me. What they ultimately want to do is take your data, like send it over to Sony. They will create a sound profile specifically for you and your head and ear shape, and that is like your personalized like 3D profile, right? Specifically like for you, which is like super cool. Right? Microsoft said like none of this stuff, but at the core of it, they want to make sure that everybody has a 3D surround sound experience, even if they don't necessarily have a full surround setup, right? I think that's one of the things that you brought up last week is like, well, what happens if you don't have a 5.1 setup? Like, how's this going to work?
Well, I think one of the biggest reasons why they're going all in on like 3D audio is because to set the stage for PSVR 2.
Sure. I think that'll go a long way for immersion.
Give you more of an immersive experience through sound, right?
100%.
Because graphically, it's going to be better than the PSVR 1, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be, at least I don't believe it's going to be like a huge jump, because they still want to keep the price of that down to get it into more people's hands.
Right. It still may be the entry level, even though it's a brand new product. It'll be better, but it may not be. Yeah. Because
right.
they can't sell it
I
for
say
a
if
grand.
they give you sort of more of a wireless experience with the PSVR 2 headset, right? Mm-hmm. And with this new 3D audio to give you more of an immersive experience, that will give you the reason to buy the PSVR 2, to take more advantage of the PS5.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very curious to see like how this all plays out, how developers and how Sony is going to like utilize it in the game space. But like all of that was kind of wrapped up in this very drawn out presentation. So it was like kind of hard to squeeze the juice out of it to get the good stuff.
My biggest question, well, I had a few questions. My biggest question is, that hard drive space.
Yeah.
Right? They're using a solid state drive.
Yep.
Custom, but it was only 825
Right, right, because the rest of that goes to the OS and
well, we don't know.
Space.
Actually, we don't know. The biggest question is that what's left after you do the OS, right? Is it a terabyte?
I think so.
And what you have left after is 825 on the standard?
I think so.
Right? Or is it 825? And why? Like 825 gigabytes is a weird number, right?
Yeah.
So it has to be 1 terabyte with 825 left over after the OS.
100%. Yeah.
825 is just a weird number to have. Like that's the storage capacity. Why?
Right. No, you'd have it at like 500 or 750 maybe, Yeah,
not 825.
Exactly.
And then he actually clarified, because he had talked about having like the top 100 games, PS4 games playable on PS5. He actually clarified by launch they expect the majority of the 4,000 plus games to work on the PS5, but they've only tested the top 100 games so far. They've already tested hundreds of games, and they're going to test, thousands of games by the time launch comes. And same thing with Xbox. When they first talked about backwards compatibility, they only tested a few hundred games at first, and and they started this years ago, so now they have a big library of backwards compatibility. So
yep, they went through great pains.
So everyone was a little confused at that when they say only 100 games from the PS4 is going to work. No, they've only really made sure that the top 100 games actually work, but they've tested hundreds of games, and they're still testing games to make sure they have higher stable frame rates and higher resolutions. So that same thing we get in Xbox Series X when we were playing older games and it looked great. Same thing here when we play old PS4 games. The logo sort of to show the backwards compatibility only showed the PS4 Pro, PS4, and they left room. They left room on that, and they specifically left room on that. Like, why would they put those two at the top and not fill it out for the screen if that's if that's all they're gonna
exactly
they were gonna do.
It looked a little suspect, and we all know the black sheep is the PS3 with the cell technology.
I think they're gonna say all the first party PS3 games will be playable, and the PS2 and PS1 games will be playable as well.
Well, so I mean that's an easy win, because I think most, if not all, of the first party PS3 games came onto the PS4 in like a up-res port or whatever, right? We got all the God of War games and The Last of Us 2, or the original Last of Us, and a bunch of other games came onto PS4 already. So those should be like good to go. I don't know if you're going to be able to boot up like Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and have it be like good to go. Like that's maybe not. And like
because
PS1
that's not a first party game,
right? Well, yeah, I know. And then like PS1 and PS2, I mean, they have some of those in the store, right? You can download PS1, PS2 games. I mean, there was some work done on some of the library. Yeah. I don't know if you're just going to be able to pop in a PS1 disc and it'll just play. Hopefully.
Fun. They left room on that graphic. They left room on that graphic. It has to be PS1 games, PS1 and PS2
Well, one thing
they know that's what the public wants.
I know. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Collectors want that.
If you could have,
I want to be able to play the original Crash Bandicoot games from PS1 on my PS5.
Like, think about it. It would be like 30 years of compatibility, right? We're just about at 30 years, right? That would be crazy. 25 years of compatibility, right? 26 years maybe, right? Because it came out in 1994, I think, or 95, maybe 25 years of compatibility. That's an insane thing to be able to put some marketing around. But we shall see. One other thing about this that I thought was kind of interesting is when Cerny was talking about the kind of ramp up time for developers, right? Because you have this new piece of hardware, and it takes time for developers to wrap their head around it, right? Before they really understand what the technology is. And, he started with the PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, and like how long it would take a developer to become familiar and this and that. And they were like, yeah, maybe around like 1 to 2 months for a developer to like kind of understand the ins and outs of the PS5 coming from like the PS4, which, you know, I thought was really interesting because it's like, well, we're thinking about the developer, you know, how do we change things to move the ball forward, but also not like reinvent the wheel entirely that a developer is starting from zero, right? So it's like finding like the right balance there, I thought was, you know, kind of neat. So, but again, sorry, go ahead.
Well, another interesting tidbit is I think he alluded to that they started thinking about the PS5 in 2016.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was like 3 years after the PS4 has already been launched. And it took 4 years essentially to get to the point where we are right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, it's a lot of R&D. It's a lot of, you know, it's a lot of planning and whatnot. It's a lot of behind the scenes before you even start like fabricating chips and doing any of that and saying like it's going to have 16 gigs of RAM. Like, think
about it. So with that said, let's say there are no delays and next gen comes out this year, right? In 2020. That means in 2022, right? 23, the beginning of 2023, they're going to start thinking about, you know, the PS6. Which may come out at like, you know, 2028, right? And it's going to be 21 teraflops.
Oh, you mean the PlayStation streaming service that where you just download?
No, not yet.
And it's happening. Come on,
I want to get to the 10th generation of hardware, and then we can go all digital. Give me 2 more generations of consoles to collect for, please.
Right. It's funny because in both these presentations, there was no mention of like streaming or anything like that, or the online capabilities, or what.
Oh, that'll be on the
store.
PS6, the PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
Xbox,
well, I mean,
the Xbox Series X2. I'm like they didn't mention any of that like infrastructure, how you're going to get games and this and that. It was all about the hardware, the power, and here's what these systems can do. A little more theoretical with the, a little more on paper with Sony, a little more hands-on with Xbox. But I really want to see what the UI looks like. I want to see what the store looks like. I want to see what games look like running on this system, right? The Xbox didn't show. The Xbox presentation had 0 Series X games. Like you said, the only one we know is Halo so far, and they're like, it's not ready yet. We can't have any hands-on time with it yet. But they did show Halo 5 with the HDR, which was kind of cool. But yeah. Well, I'll end it with this. Like the biggest thing I saw from all the tech guys were the Xbox Series X has more raw power than the PS5, and the PS5 sort of has higher clock speeds. So they both get to the same destination from 2 different roads, and we'll see how developers take advantage of it, right?
Yeah.
And how it comes out in the game. Because at the end of the day, you can put whatever specs you want in the machine. It's the developers that need to take advantage of it and make.
Well, right, you know, it can look great on paper, but what's the end result?
And with that said, I'm talking about devs like Konami. If I can even call them a dev anymore.
Well, they're a pachinko manufacturer and mobile game developer.
Well,
that is what their company has become.
Well, no matter what they do in the gyms, they have a lot of gyms, funny enough, and casinos and pachinko machines. But they have a lot of gaming IPs, right? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what these specs are. It's all about the games, right? We want to see Halo Infinite. We want to see God of War 2 or whatever they want to call it. I don't think we already had a God of War 2, so definitely this will have sort of like a sub name to it. It'll be God of War something else.
Yeah,
right?
Hopefully.
Well, Horizon Zero Dawn or Horizon 2 or whatever you want to call it. What games are going to come out? And that's the thing that I think Sony's positioning right now, because the biggest rumor, and it's still going, this rumor is still going, it's not going away. Which is why I think there is some truth to this somewhere, and that is Sony's trying to raid Konami's IPs, right? Specifically Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hills, right? That was the Silent Hill game that Kojima was working on before his departure from Konami.
The PT, as we know.
Yeah, and Castlevania, right? They're trying to raid these IPs. We don't know to what extent they're trying to buy them out flat out, or they're trying to sort of license them to make new games. And the biggest rumor is that they're trying to be the go-between between them and Kojima Productions, so Kojima can be the one to make these games. And remember, he is the mastermind behind all the Metal Gear Solid games.
Yep.
He worked on Castlevania, Lord of the Shadows, the first one.
On Lord of the Shadows, yeah.
And I think the 3DS version, Mirror of Fate.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be apropos if he did this. And he was trying to do a new Silent Hills game with Norman Reedus. And everyone's going crazy because there were talks that Norman Reedus was in talks with Kojima Productions for another game. And we all just assumed it was Death Stranding 2. He switches jobs. He went from FedEx to UPS. But maybe he's trying to reprise his role in Silent Hill, right? So this is kind of exciting if this is actually true, where Sony's sort of the go-between and the one funding it, right? So Konami doesn't have to worry about funding it. And I don't think Konami would sell these IPs flat out, only because they're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, they're making a lot of money off the Castlevania Netflix series, right?
Yeah. Like they're getting all the licensing rights and all that, and they have a big back catalog that they can just keep like putting out collections and whatever for, and make more money on. Like the licensing thing, I think you're 100% right. It is.
But it would be cool if Sony actually just flat out brought them, right? I mean,
oh my God, yeah,
it would be a lot of money. It would be a lot of money, and if they did that, we would see a lot of anniversary collections come out on the PS5 exclusively.
Oh my God, I know. Although that's like, that's like the one downside, right? It would only be on PlayStation as opposed to being like cross platform, which would kind of suck. But
yeah,
it is a weird gymnastics routine to try and get Kojima back in the fold to making these awesome games again. Make a new Snatcher-like game, or make a new Castlevania or a new Metal Gear 6 or something. It's like, Jesus. Like Konami and Kojima can't just kind of make up, and Konami would be the publisher. No, they have to go through Sony, third party intermediary.
Well, crazy. Sony would be the one funding, theoretically.
Right. Because
Konami, the biggest issue that they said that Konami had was the budget. He kept pushing the budget up.
Yeah, of course. And Konami's like, we can't, because we need to make profit on this, kind of make money. They didn't want to. I mean, it would have made money because it's like Kojima, but they didn't want to expend the money on it. So, yeah. I mean, if Sony can be the middleman that makes this happen, make it so.
Yeah, and that would give them three unique IPs that people are clamoring for. With the dev that is highly like held in high regard. Three exclusives for there'll be three exclusives for the PS5 generation,
right? And
that would be a big coup for them. I'll tell you what, Metal Gear, Castlevania, and Silent Hills, I'll tell you what they're not going to be on. Not just the Xbox if Sony gets them, they're not going to be on the new Intellivision console. Remember, the console wars have to include Intellivision. They're back, baby. They were the originators. All right. They're one of the OGs from back in the 70s. And they're back, and they have a new console coming out this fall, right alongside, hopefully, the PS5 and Xbox Series X.
And the Atari VCS. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, listen. All right.
You got to put them in the fold, too, Dan. It's a 5-console race.
Listen.
All right.
We're not putting them in the fold. Okay, I'm not putting the Atari VCS in the fold. We have seen nothing.
Why?
We have seen nothing so far.
Why, Dan?
We've seen nothing. Okay.
Well, we finally got a real
4K.
Yeah. We finally got some real footage for the Amico, which was interesting. It looked like it was a lot of remakes of classic Intellivision games. Looked like there was a Shark and a Lunar Patrol and a Pong clone and a weird skiing game, among other things.
Lots of Pong clones.
Yeah.
Lots of different versions of Pong with different skins on them. Right.
Yeah,
Are you playing basketball? No, I'm playing Pong with basketball skin.
Yeah, right. It some of the stuff looked like kind of interesting for sure. It's not. None of the stuff needs the Amico. You could put this out on anything. They're either mobile games or Switch games or Steam games or whatever. It's, and I don't think there was anything that was like really like the system seller. There was no IP killer. here. It was just a bunch of games that like seemed kind of fun. Like if I had an Amico, I'd be like, I'd probably play this. I'd probably play that. But yeah,
you didn't want Asteroids and 8K?
Oh, 8K now. we're up-resing it even further.
Hey, who knows? The Amico Pro.
Yeah. The one thing I am excited about, and it's partially because Tommy Tallarico, who's the guy who did the music for the game, is like basically like spearheading this, kind of running the show. Is the Earthworm
president of Intellivision right now?
Yeah. The Earthworm Jim sequel. That's what I want, because man, we haven't heard of Earthworm Jim since that awful Earthworm Jim 3D back on the PS1 era and 64, and that was terrible.
Well,
the first two games were fantastic.
I think they ported and up-res the Earthworm Jim on the Xbox 360 arcade.
They did do a port of the original, and they kind of fixed it up a little bit. But I mean, we haven't had anything new. I want a new Earthworm Jim, and that could be like super cool. But I still don't know if that would get me to buy the system. All right.
Come on. You know you want.
So how much is it going to be, do you think?
Oh, the Amico? I think it's like $200. I'm not.
$200. Yeah.
I think
so. Are you gonna plunk down $200 on this system? Are you gonna buy this day one?
I'll be honest.
You're not. No one is.
Okay, so
it's even beyond our generation.
It looks like it's $229.
Yeah, it's over $200. It's more than a Switch Lite.
The Founders Edition is $299.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which gets you, I think, like the gold inlay and the gold controllers and all that. Like, it's like, okay, that's cool, but no.
I'll be honest. I will. If we're still on lockdown, then I'm not buying anything because I probably don't have a job anymore.
Well.
But if we're back to normal, or semi-normal around that time, I have no problem maybe taking a look at it.
Yeah, I can hear it in your voice. You're not going to get it, and I'm not going to get it. This is going to be on the shelves collecting dust in the stores, especially that it's coming out at the same time as next generation consoles, right? I know it's not trying to compete with them, but it certainly doesn't help that it's coming out at that time, right? So even people that would be like, oh, hey, I want the next gen consoles, and I also want these like kind of old school throwback consoles or these like, weird like hybrid things, but you're already in for like, we already know we're going to be in for at least $1,000 to $1,200 just on the new systems alone if we're buying both systems. And then to add another $150 to $200 to $300 for this other system, which is very low power, less powerful than the Switch, I would assume, that can play remakes of old school and television games that most of us probably weren't around for. It's not a good proposition in my book. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to hold out hope. I have more faith in the Amico than I do the Atari VCS.
And that's fair. I mean, at least we've seen some stuff about the Amico. We've only basically seen renders of the VCS at this point. And
why is Earthworm Jim exclusive? Does Intellivision own Earthworm Jim?
Well, no. But like I said, Tommy Tallarico did the music for Earthworm Jim, and he runs that. The company that made it, Shiny, isn't around anymore. They've disbanded ages ago, so maybe he picked up the rights to it. That is a possibility. He may actually own the rights now. He definitely has inroads into that game because he worked on that game. So, and he's a still relevant person, right? Because he's making this new console. So,
okay. Here's the thing: is it all digital? There's no physical games for the Amico. So the only way to own Earthworm Jim 4, because it's the sequel, is to buy the Amico. I probably will buy this. As long as the zombie apocalypse ends like soon, right? And we go back.
You could just have it shipped to your house. You wouldn't have to have any human interaction.
Well, no, I mean, I won't be making any money. This lasts for another 2 months.
Well, okay, yeah,
I won't have a
that
job.
aspect of it, I forgot about that.
I won't have a job. So
None of us are going to have a job if this continues the way it does.
I won't be buying any next gen consoles. If that's the case.
Right. I'm going to put that on hold for indefinitely. Put my purchase on hold indefinitely. Ugh.
All right.
It's crazy.
But you know what games could be on Intellivision, Amico? And that is all the indie games that were on Indie Game World Showcase that was earlier in the week.
We'll bright spot during this time. Nintendo drops a Indie World Showcase. It was fun.
It was cool. I don't want to go over every single game they had there. I just want to go over some highlights. The first game they showed, they had the most gameplay for it, and it looked the most polished. And it's a game called Blue Fire, right? And by the way, you'll see a theme on this showcase: Switch first. So it's no console exclusives, but it will drop on the Switch first. And Blue Fire is coming out summer 2020. It looked okay. It was pretty good. It's sort of like a hack and slash, 3D platforming hack and slash, with challenges, with different jump and dash mechanics. It gave me vibes of like sort of like a darker version of Zelda.
Yeah, like 100%. Definitely had some good aesthetics to it. Kind of unique. I was definitely about it, and I'm with you on the polish. Like, it looked really good for what it was. So
I would say, Robbie Studios, they're in Argentina. Definitely the game that they really wanted to highlight because they started to show off with this, and I'm kind of interested. A game I'm not interested in because I didn't get. Well, the two games I'm not interested because I didn't really get is I Am Dead and Freak Apocalypse. Right? I Am Dead. I didn't get what the gameplay mechanic was. I'm like, what are you doing? Freak Apocalypse, I was a little disappointed because I sort of heard about this game and they didn't really show that much gameplay footage. It was just like a weird interview with the dev and one of the characters from the game.
Yeah.
So I didn't get much from it. A game I'm semi excited for is sort of Bark, B.ARK. That's coming out sort of late 2020, and that was sort of like a fast pace shoot 'em up game with different animals, and each animal has different unique mechanics, right? And you're in this weird you're in a weird ship that's like shaped like the animal that you're in.
Yeah.
So that looked cool to me.
Had a decent art style to it. I could see myself getting into it for sure.
Another game that sort of piqued my interest was Summer of Mara. Right? That looked pretty cool.
Had some shades of Animal Crossing in there, right? Some Stardew Valley Animal Crossing.
Definitely, the Animal Crossing Stardew Valley has a day and night cycle, different weather. It was like an open world 3D farming farming simulator where you solve puzzles and stuff. So it's just weird that it's called Summer of Mara, but it's coming out in spring. I think that was a missed marketing cue right there. I'm just saying,
No, I'm not. I'm with you on that. Don't worry, I'm with you.
And then we got from Hello Games. They're back.
Hello Games
teasing.
of No Man's Sky fame, or infame, maybe that's a word.
Well, they teased No Man's Sky coming out to the Switch because it came out to the Xbox, and we, I've been waiting for like the direct where they say, "Oh yeah, and you can have No Man's Sky on the Switch."
Yep, coming this fall.
But no, they came out with a new game called The Last Campfire.
Good to see. Good to see the studio. Like I'll say this: it's good to see the studio still kicking around. They look pretty happy. They didn't look defeated. They spent the last 3 years apologizing for No Man's Sky in the form of updates and the Xbox port and the VR support for the PlayStation version. And now they're like, all right, I think we fixed that. Here's our new game, this Last Campfire. And I was like, oh, it's like surprising and cool.
And then we saw Moving Out. That was they had like a montage again. And the biggest highlight was like Moving Out, which we already saw at PAX as well. And you were about that game.
Well, it's essentially Overcooked. We talked about it on the PAX recap episode with Matt, and Matt got some hands-on time with it. He was about it, and it's essentially Overcooked with furniture. There's some differences to it, and I think it's going to be great. Glad to see that's coming to the Switch. And I would say the biggest game on the whole entire list, the one that I'm most excited for, is Exit the Gungeon. Right?
Ooh, because you played Enter the Gungeon.
I still play Enter the Gungeon to this day. It's the most I've logged the most hours in that game. If you go to my Switch profile, over like 120 hours in that game. Yeah, it's insane.
More than Zelda? You played
more than Zelda? Actually, yes, more than Zelda. How funny is that? I mean, it's great. It's good. Like pick up and play twin stick shooter, bullet hell a little bit. This is the same, except it's flat 2D. So you're like going up in like an elevator basically to exit the gungeon. You're trying to get out. It's the same kind of bullet hell thing, but it's not top down anymore. I missed it at PAX. I didn't get a chance to get to it, but like this is the game that was in the Apple Arcade exclusively, only on the Apple Arcade. It was a timed exclusive, and now it's coming to the Switch, and I think other consoles soon. You know, great to see that in the mix.
Okay, cool. I mean, yeah, those were the highlights from the Indie World Showcase. I thought I was expecting maybe one game that was a little bit bigger. Like I guess No Man's Sky is not an indie game per se anymore, but I was expecting at least to see that.
Right.
I wasn't expecting Hello Games to come up with a brand new sort of new game. I was expecting to see this ported to the Switch at least first.
Well, there's still hope and time. Like obviously, Hello Games is still making stuff, and maybe in the future we'll get a Switch port, which would be kind of cool. But yeah. So that about does it for the news. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, our interview with Derek Lieu. We're back, folks. We have a special guest on this episode, returning guest, actually, Derek Lieu. Welcome back to the show.
Sorry, I interrupted your introduction.
No, it's all good. How is everything going, Derek?
Everything, all things considered, is going basically fine because I already work from home. So I'm seeing all people on social media talking about what are the tips for working from home, and I'm like, oh, I've been doing this for a while now. I just eat out less. Other than that, but I've also moved to New York.
Well, congratulations! Welcome back.
Now, thank you. Good to be back from LA, back in New York. It's been 8 years since I lived here or so.
Yeah,
wow, it's hard to believe.
What if you don't mind us asking, what made you move back to the big city?
Well, I moved in with my girlfriend first of all, and also I just realized that because I work from home, I can live wherever I want, and even though I like my friends in LA, of course, I miss them. LA is just not my place. I really love New York, and there's many things about LA that don't make it ideal for me. Like I hate driving. The weather, in terms of the dryness, the humidity, and possibly the smog, make me sort of dizzy if I'm out during the day for too long, which is not great. And I mean, the driving is a really big part of it, honestly.
Well, I heard the traffic's a nightmare out there.
But just driving, it's your life basically. And even though I work from home, I don't have a commute. It was still just holding me back from doing things that I would have otherwise done because I just don't like doing it.
Listen, I'd rather a snowstorm or an earthquake any day.
Yes.
That too.
Yeah.
Which we haven't even been having. We haven't had a snowstorm in 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I didn't grow up with earthquakes, so they freaked me out. Everyone's always talking about, when's the big one coming? And then like the wildfires were just getting even worse. And that's incredibly terrifying because it's a thing that just can get bad incredibly fast, whereas opposed to like a hurricane or a snowstorm, it's coming a while in advance. So like the devil is better.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think like given what's going on now with the whole like CV and the outbreak and the quarantine and this and that, the mass transit infrastructure, and maybe we're a little biased, but it's a little bit better here, right? You get a subway that goes across the 5 boroughs. You get bus lines that kind of run everywhere. Taxis to an extent.
Probably right now it'd be better to be in a car, honestly, because you're just person to person, location to location. You're not in a like sealed tube with a whole bunch of other people.
Wow, true, true.
So, but I still prefer to not drive.
Fair enough.
And I'm still happy I'm here despite all things.
Yeah. Oh, well, great. Yeah. So how is because like me and Dan, I think me a little bit longer than Dan, but we've been kind of like working from home. I have a pretty good luxury of being in like web development, so everything is basically online. And my boss went through great pains to set up VPNs and work from home strategies and all that. So we're basically just like one giant like Brady Bunch intro with like the 29 different screens, and everyone's conversing in like the morning, and then we just kind of, all right, get to work. You got your marching orders. Here's your tickets for the day, and it's crazy, but we're all trying to get through. And I don't want this to sound crass, but right now business is good, right? Because everybody needs we need this COVID update, we need this update, we need this CV update. Can you put this thing online? So we've been kind of stacked a little bit for business in that way.
Interesting.
How is it? How is it in like the trailer world? I'm assuming you had stuff going into this, but I mean, are you still getting like calls for like new stuff that's coming out, or like, hey, we need someone to work on this, or is like that kind of like put on hold for the moment?
No, I still got people inquiring, but no, I'm still getting requests for trailers. I have a couple jobs right now, and I have a few on the horizon, and the only difference is that the emails have a little bit more of people saying, how are you doing? But other than that, I'm not sure how business will be affected, if it will be, because also I'm dealing with a lot of people who either already work from home, or it's probably not terribly difficult to work from home because everyone's like working at their computers, and then they'll do the same thing with adding video conferencing or Slack or something like that. The only thing I could possibly think might affect things is if people's finances get super stretched because of circumstances, and then they decide, hey, maybe we don't want to pay this much for a trailer. I don't know, but so far it's been fine.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, I work in a law firm, and we use Slack, Facebook Messenger. I have my email. I have Google Drive and Dropbox. So the only thing I didn't have is a printer, and I had to go get my printer. But other than that, working from home for me has been great as well. So I haven't skipped a beat business wise. And so far, business has kind of boomed too for me. So I haven't skipped a beat.
Yeah, I only hit any sort of road bump just because of my move, which I just hate moving so much, and moving cross country even more stressful. So I basically gave myself a lot more time than I probably needed to get like packing and everything like that. So haven't done a lot of work basically since I moved and before then. And also I had to do some business sort of things, like I had to make a new LLC for New York and get rid of my California one and get new bank accounts and all that sort of thing. So there's been some like spinning up prep work basically since I moved here.
Oh yeah, sure. Funny enough, yeah, me and Dan were just talking about because we just incorporated last year, right?
Nice.
So we're now a business and all that, and what comes with that is business taxes. So we have to figure out like, well, how's that going to work, and how's that going to work in this new environment when everybody wants to distance themselves very far away. But we think we found somebody who can take care of our needs and handle all that. So that'll be an interesting new venture for us. But
I also have to register to vote here too.
That's important. That's coming up.
Yeah.
So, that's coming up.
I might have to do that through the mail or something. But it's not the deadline yet for like the New York primaries.
Right. And they may even postpone that if they know what's good for them.
Yeah, we'll see. Because I mean, we've already seen like several states being like, maybe it's not a great idea to have a whole bunch of people come in one place to vote.
Yep. Yep, everyone's touching the same machine.
Also, it's
like,
not great
just a breeding
to
ground.
put it off too long.
Yeah, I think you kind of gotta find the balance. But I'd say, like, if you do it like early May or like mid-May, I feel like that's enough time. You kick the can down the road a little bit, see what kind of comes out of that, and
We'll see.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, we wanted to have you on for a number of reasons. Because good to have you back in New York and nice to reconnect and all that. But we would be very remiss if we did not talk about one of the biggest game drops of all time that, as of this recording, is not out. But by the time our fans hear it, they will hopefully be playing the new Half-Life Alyx VR experience. I don't even know what to call it because
It's a game.
It just it is. I mean, it is like very much a game, but man, does it look so good.
Yeah.
And you got to have the experience of working on the the trailer for that game, right?
Yeah, the announced trailer.
So how did that all like come about? Like, we're real kind of curious, like, how that came to be. If you could
So
talk about
for
that.
people who don't know, the folks at Camposanto who did Firewatch, they got bought by Valve, and I've watched some interviews since, people saying, oh, they just want to get the game and everything. But there's a interview with Gabe Newell where they basically said, we don't acquire companies for their like intellectual property. We want the people, basically, if we find a good fit. So they thought they would be a good fit. And so I have a whole bunch of friends at Valve now, basically through that. And they were working on Half-Life Alyx, and I forget exactly, I think it was a little before PAX. My friend
2019.
Jake Rodkin contacted me and asked if I was interested in doing some work for Valve, and I'm like, of course. And then I had to like sign an NDA to find out exactly what the project was. And then I went to visit their office during PAX, where they just showed me the game like as it was at the time, and we had some conversations about what it would be like to bring me in, how it would work, and I just described what I would do. Like initially they're thinking like, hey, we'll bring you in for like a week, have you stay at one of our like they have like a set of apartments and stuff they put contractors in. So I was like, okay, I'll come in for a week, see how that goes, and then decide from there. So I went in not necessarily thinking, okay, I'm gonna come in here and just totally help ship this trailer. I was fully ready to just be like, okay, this is 1 week, and we decided we didn't want to continue. Or you've given us enough for us to finish this off ourselves. But I ended up working there for about 6 weeks.
That's crazy.
Between like October and end of November. And it was basically they were generous enough to let me basically fly in during the weekdays and then fly back home so I could be with my cats on the weekends, and then fly again back to Seattle or Bellevue, as it were.
Oh yeah, I
but
forgot
yeah,
they're up. I thought they were in
What's that?
California. I thought they were.
No, they're in Bellevue.
Yeah, all right, they're up there a little bit.
But yeah,
great.
so to answer the question more quickly, I just know people at Valve who I've worked with before, and they liked my work and they like working with me. So, and then I guess after that first week, I did enough good work that they decided just bring me back until it was done.
Oh, that's crazy. Did you get to meet Gabe Newell at all? Was
I
that
did
a thing,
not.
or?
I didn't not for like not like I asked and they said no. It actually didn't even occur to me somehow. But I was just trying to be professional. Just do the work.
Sure.
But I certainly met a lot of people there, and a lot of people that I later found out worked on like Half-Life 2 because they're still there, a lot of them. And some people like the sound designer, I forget his name now. I was looking him up after I met him, and he's like the sound designer of Riven, the sequel to Myst.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the composer Mike Moraski, he did the music for Portal 2 and Left 4 Dead and all that sort of thing. So
those games are classics.
It was really cool.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah, I mean, like, we were just watching the trailer again before this, and I mean, fantastic work yet again. We just have to say. And
I'm very hesitant to take too much credit because it was me and like 20 other people or so working on this.
Really?
So
Wow, that big of
Yeah.
a team for a trailer?
yeah, because I mean, so I was basically I the role I could maybe describe as the lead, but it sounds like because there's so many hands in it. I'm hesitant just to be like, oh, I'm the trailer guy, but like,
Right.
because a big part of it is just because everyone has their jobs in addition to what we were doing.
Sure.
But certainly we did do the like empty room suddenly now full of desks that have rolled in because these people have decided to help work on the trailer.
Right.
But like,
right.
it was just useful to have a person who is just constantly thinking about the trailer, because otherwise it could just easily, I think, get either pushed to the side, or because, like I said, everyone's busy doing things like the game. But there were like art direction people and level design people and animators and lighting people, and they have a film like crew basically. I was in the office, which has like the editors and producers, and there's sound designers, and then like some marketing people.
Right.
So I haven't posted anything about making the trailer yet. We were saying we might do something like in collaboration, like me and Valve, to talk about the whole thing. So I've been holding back somewhat on the specifics. But like, for example, I can just go through the trailer and point to like so many little details and say, oh, this person did change this animation to do this. This person added a light here. This person did this. And I can say stuff like, oh, I captured these shots. I thought of this shot idea, but someone came up with this better idea that I moved to do this thing. And then someone had this idea for the dialogue. And then I just sort of maybe not quite like a conductor, but sort of like bring things together. And not to say like I had final say, but almost everything like went through me in some sort of capacity. But I wasn't like the boss.
Right. Well, it was a big like it seems like it was a big like collaborative effort, right? And I think honestly, I think it'd be real interesting to see the creative process behind like putting that trailer together. Like I know you've done a couple case studies on some of the ones you've done, and those are real kind of fascinating to like kind of tear it apart and look at the like, well, why is it organized this way? And like, well, it starts off like this and it goes into this, and like everything kind of is purposeful, and not just like, oh, well, I thought this kind of looked cool. Like it kind of builds to something. And then
it was definitely very collaborative. And this is like 20 people or so. And but it was the thing I was going to say was in my imposter syndrome mode when the project was about finished, I was just saying similar things like, I don't even know how much responsibility I can take for this. And like some of my friends at Campo Santo, they're like, no, you need to tell people that you worked on this because we would have done this without you. And I'm like, great, that makes me feel fantastic.
The imposter syndrome situation, I think, I don't want to necessarily speak for Dan, but even like for myself, it's, when you're kind of jumping into something new, and, it's kind of scary, and you want to like push yourself, and you're like, well, I've been doing it for like so long, whatever your like discipline or expertise is, and you feel like, you gotta kind of challenge yourself like every day and like take on new things, right? So when I do like programming and whatnot, and I'm kind of like, well, I've read up on it and see how the kind of general sense of how this like code structure or style or this language works, and then you kind of put pen to paper and you're like, I mean, like it works on the front end, but like, behind the scenes, you start to second guess and all that. So I personally, I get that feeling. Like, I don't know about you, Dan, but
take full credit. Take full credit. It's all you.
There you go.
It happened without you, man.
There you go.
That's what I would do personally.
No, it was a really great experience. It was definitely adjustment because I'm used to basically being the one with most of the creative inputs, because usually that's the situation I'm in, because people come to me and say, hey, we don't know how to make a trailer. We don't know anything about filmmaking or anything. So we'll leave it up to you for the most part. So It was definitely, there are a lot more meetings or watching like early drafts and saying like, this is working, this isn't working, this will work once we finish it, that sort of thing. But it was 6 weeks might sound sort of like a long time, but it was a pretty aggressive schedule because, the game wasn't done. So, and some of the parts that we wanted to show in the game weren't done. And even if they were sort of done, once you say to the artists or animators, hey, we're going to show this part of the game, of course they're going to want to jump in and be like, no, it's not done, don't show it yet. Okay, I'll work on it more, and then I'll tell you, then it's all done.
Right. So
because it's the first time anyone has seen any official Half-Life stuff in like 13, 12 years, whatever. So of course everyone wants to have it look as absolutely good as humanly possible.
Needs to be perfect.
Yeah, it's so much pressure.
Crazy for a Half-Life game. It needs to be perfect.
I mean, there's a reason why
they were so worried because it's VR game and of course there are a lot of people who are like, oh, Valve, you're a bunch of jerks for coming out with this VR game. We've been waiting for this game for so long and I can't play it because I don't have $600 or $1,000 to buy a headset. Screw you. So they were really nervous, understandably so. So they were overjoyed that people were by and large very positive. Like the likes to dislike ratio on YouTube was probably way better than they were expecting.
Yeah. And it's interesting with like VR. I mean, it's come still in its infancy, I guess, right? It's really been around since maybe like 2014, 15 in its like current state. And there's some stuff out there that's like really great. I love Resident Evil 7. I love Beat Saber. There's I love the Wipeout Omega.
Wipeout.
Yeah. There's certain experiences that transcend like, hey, this is a neat tech demo into like, this is a full-fledged AAA game that someone would buy a headset over, right? And I think Half-Life does like fall into that category, but I've also seen some games in that first-person vein or third-person vein that kind of, shooter, atmospheric shooter, or whatever you want to call it, in that like vein that are like, yeah, it's fun, but I have problems with this or I have problems with that. All right, when you kind of look at some of the gameplay for Half-Life, it seems very polished and considered, right? Their whole like physics engine that they like birthed in Half-Life 2 seems to be in full effect here, right? You can kind of like take your hand out and pick an object up and throw the stuff out of it, and then like put that on something and then grab the bits that you need. Like it all just seems very like considered and thought out. And like I feel like whenever I get around to like playing this game, I'm gonna be like, yep, that's exactly how it should be. Like, they ended up nailing it.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a reason that most of the VR games don't look as good. It's just because that's sort of quality just costs so much money to do. And also, I presume that most VR games want to be able to get on as many VR platforms as possible, like including PSVR, which is like the lowest spec. So they want to make sure it can run on that. Whereas Valve doesn't have to worry about that as much because they're like, no, this is going to be a PC game.
Yeah.
And also, not that it's not important for it to do well, but it won't destroy them in the same way it would probably destroy another company to put that much money into a VR game like this that can only be bought by people who have an Oculus or Vive or Valve Index.
Right. Yeah. Because they're just that big of a company. I mean, they have Steam and Dota and all this other stuff to kind of like, they're a very diversified company for what it is. But did they end up giving you? I mean, maybe the answer is no, but did they end up giving you like a Valve Index as like a little thank you gift?
They did not. And I would never have asked because I'm just not that sort of person. Like I feel kind of guilty getting free T-shirts sometimes.
Sure.
I'm like, no, it's fine. I'll support you. So, but I did end up getting an index when they restocked a little bit ago. And I got really worried because I was getting error messages. I was checking Twitter, see if everyone else was getting them, and they were getting error messages. And then I saw someone on Twitter like, "Oh, you should try to buy it in incognito mode. It like changes something about like the cache or something like that." And then I got an order in, and I got it like maybe a week ago. So I'm good to go.
Nice.
And I just
You're ready?
preloaded the game last night, so I'll be ready by like 1 p.m. Monday because it's like 10 a.m. Pacific, I think, releases.
Oh, it is? Okay,
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Curious to hear what you think of the game too, because I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting because, I saw it 3 months ago, or I guess starting 4 months ago, because when I started, even the 6 weeks between when I first saw the game, like, or actually even longer, because I first saw it at PAX. So I've seen it from like September last year, and the last time I saw it was like end of November-ish. And even then I could just see like things just changing all the time, like art changing and light changing, because people are just constantly checking things in. So I can't imagine how much more has changed in the last 3 months. I mean, I know a lot of it's probably bug fixing and like smoothing things out and optimization, but even just they released a few gameplay clips on YouTube, and looking at those, I saw a lot of stuff. I'm like, oh, cool, that's different. This looks better. So it'll be exciting for me to see too. And there are big parts of it that were not finished. It'll be cool to see.
Did you get any hands-on time when you were there? Did they like, hey, try it out, kind of get a feel for it?
I mean, I was playing it all the time basically, because I did almost all the capture for the trailer, like so except for there's like 2 shots in the trailer which weren't captured by me. There's like one where the hands are grabbing a grenade off a Combine soldier. That's someone else. And there's a shot where they're like throwing a crate at a Combine soldier and then shooting them afterwards. But I think everything else I did at least the first pass capture on that. So I didn't play like the game like beginning to end, because at a certain point I'm like, I don't need to be playing this far because we're not going to show this part of the game because it's so close to the end,
Right. Yeah. It's all the spoilery stuff.
And also, I wanted to make my time as efficient as possible, so I didn't want to like spend too much time doing something I didn't need to do to finish the trailer, even though and also I just want to play it when it's finished. So
yeah.
I wasn't thinking I need to see it all right now.
Yeah, right. Right.
But yeah, I was basically in the game probably in some capacity almost every single day for like 6 weeks.
Right. Oh, that's crazy.
Sometimes just like one part of the game, but like multiple times per day, because I'm trying to get a different take correctly.
Riding in on that tram 29 times. All right, here we go again. Oh man. Yeah, that's it's gotta be like a crazy experience, right? Like that's like,
oh hell yeah.
It's one of like
I'm
the holy
pinching
grail.
myself every day.
like if Square Enix came to us and they said like, hey, you want to get some hands-on time before anybody else on the new Final Fantasy, 100%. That would be my jam. Or like if Naughty Dog came to us, right? That's like Uncharted's like Dan's favorite franchise.
All right, well, listen, if Uncharted, then I would want to finish the game. I'm not gonna lie. But Dave knows. I've been saying I'm going to build a PC for how long? As long as we've been doing the show, 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, he keeps on saying it, and me and our friend Mike said we will help you build that PC. We'll pick out parts. We'll help you with everything.
I still haven't built it yet. Well, I started. I got a monitor. Right there we go.
That's a start.
That's a start. You need a monitor. I'm not big on VR. I have a PSVR. I mean, we bought it when it first came out, and it was good. It was cool when we first got it, but there's no killer app for me.
Really? Not Beat Saber?
No, not Beat Saber. I'm not a spooky game person. I think I played about less than an hour of Resident Evil 7, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this anymore.
I can't do Resident Evil or games like that, because that's like moving with a thumbstick and sitting in place, right? That's I can't do that because it nauseates me. I'm very prone to motion sickness.
I just can't play any spooky game, regardless if it's
the pop-up scares, the zombies. I mean,
no,
I get it. I get it. I did the whole entire thing in VR because Dan basically challenged me, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And I have a severe fear of chainsaws, And there is a copious amount of chainsaws that now with the headset are in first person. Yeah.
And I filmed him. It was funny because I was filming him playing in VR. He almost hit me in the head.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, it is wild. Yeah.
It is.
I mean, thankfully I don't get the sickness like most
lucky.
people do. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get
wood.
it. I don't get the sickness either. I don't get nauseated or anything.
Oh.
I do get hot and sweaty. I will say that.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Astrobot, which I was really excited to play because I heard it's just so good, like Mario 64 sort of style, but VR. And the game does this thing, if you haven't played it, where basically you're sitting still and then you kind of looking around you as the robot moves on platforms. And then once you finish the section, then basically the camera moves you forward to the next section. And when that happened, I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel good. I'm like, maybe I'll tough through because it's only every now and then. But then after not even that long, I was sweating and I was just really uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, I don't think I can play this game. So unfortunately, those things are not like possibility for me.
Yeah.
But the hype for Half-Life, I would dust off my PSVR if it came out for PlayStation. I mean, I have not just dust. I have that old dust where you have to like really scrub it down. That shows you how much I use my PSVR. And I mean, again, my biggest issue is the wire. Just if it was wireless, and I hope and pray, fingers crossed, PSVR 2 is wireless. I can't take the wire. Because I keep almost tripping or yanking something or moving too far away from the camera.
Right. Yeah.
Half-Life would get me to dust off my PSVR. I don't have a supercomputer, so having a Valve Index wouldn't work for me.
Right.
I'm kind of jealous you got to play it. I wish I could have played it at PAX. I didn't get a chance to. I have no way to play this, so I'm gonna have to live vicariously through you when you actually get it when it comes out.
Right. Yeah, I was sort of wondering if I could do like a cinematic playthrough sort of thing. Like I did that for Firewatch for my mom, basically, because she doesn't play games. So I'm like, oh, but I wanted to see the story because I think it's good. So I did like a version of like a playthrough of Firewatch where, I did all the dialogue and I found all the secrets and that sort of thing. And I could just send her like a YouTube playlist and say, just watch this. This is Firewatch. But Half-Life is like, 15 hours or so.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be a much bigger commitment.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But yeah, I'm sure there'll be some people doing something similar because, not everyone can play the game. So they're going to want to get them clicks and help out those people who just want to experience the story or something like that.
Oh, yeah. No, I think almost immediately, unless there's some sort of like NDA on, filming game footage.
No, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Well, there was that one Persona 5 had some restrictions on what you could and couldn't post online.
Yeah, I think Japan is different. Japan's attitude towards copyright and everything is much more draconian, I think, than the Western ones.
Yeah, it's true because Nintendo pretty much had a hard ban on any sort of footage that didn't come from their sources.
Yeah.
You couldn't kind of post anything online. Now they're kind of pulling that back a little bit. So
yeah. And I remember when we were working, David, you and I were working at our jobs doing the anime DVDs. We wanted to release trailers we made for the releases on YouTube. And I remember the Japanese licensors were like, they were asking questions like, oh, if this trailer is up, will people be able to download it? And we're like, yeah. Like, oh, we won't do it. It's like, it's promotion for your thing.
Yeah.
What do you worry? It's the trailer is for advertising, so people will see it and buy it. Why what is, we're not uploading full episodes. That was really galling to me. I'm like, okay, clearly there's a different attitude towards copyrighted things.
If
that's their thing, that's their thing.
Right. Yeah. It's a little bit of a cultural thing, I think, maybe too. It's different attitudes towards it. Sure. So have you been, besides getting wrapped up in all the Half-Life stuff, have you found time to play games from the move and all that? And I guess now with the quarantine a little bit, maybe there's a little more time.
I mean, for a long time, I wasn't doing much of anything just because I'm just trying to get the apartment ready. So like, those first few weeks, there's just so much cardboard and styrofoam in the apartment. I'm tying it up with twine. But right now, I've played a little bit of Animal Crossing, and I played a little bit of Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which I don't want to abandon before I move on to something else. But sadly, I probably will be because Half-Life comes out on Monday. And I do want to play Doom Eternal at some point. But right now, I'm just playing some Animal Crossing, which I think that would be easy to just play a little bit of here and there, just because it's the way it works.
Yeah. So out of those games, like I've played none of them. Like I said, Doom is on the way. I'm probably going to pass on Animal Crossing, and I haven't picked up Ori yet because of the CV going on. But so I know Dan has played at least 2 out of the 3 of those games, right? You played some Animal Crossing and some of the new Ori game, right?
Yeah, no, listen, Ori, I put it down because I was playing Animal Crossing, and I got to tell you, I just wanted to know what the hype is about. I've never played any of the Animal Crossing games. I have all the amiibo, for what it's worth. I have all the Animal Crossing amiibo. I have no idea who they are other than Tom Nook. So I wanted to know what the hype was about.
Yeah.
I'm not that far into it, maybe about 2 hours, and I got to tell you, fishing is the hardest thing to do.
You just got to
talk
be
about frustration. We want to talk about frustration. I can get the little fish, but trying to get the big fish is so hard. I'm very frustrated. I keep missing it. I'm trying to build this stupid museum.
I'm like 2 specimens away from opening my museum.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. But I have my house, and I've started... I need to build the store next, which requires lots and lots of iron, which I'll probably have to go to different islands to harvest or something like that. But the thing that always trips me up with Animal Crossing is I don't really have a good sense of like decorating. Like I get all the things to decorate a house with, and I get like analysis paralysis. And like I don't know what I want my house to look like.
Too much stuff, right?
Yeah.
Too many choices. I could do this theme. I could do this theme.
Stuff all around.
Yeah, but I like doing the menial things like picking weeds and fishing and collecting things, and it's just like it's very pleasant and chill. So
right.
It
seems like that's the draw of the game, right? It's very just kind of you can kind of pick up and play anytime. There's really not any. It's not stress inducing, and I think that's what we need like during these times.
That's not true.
Right?
You try to fish.
I could have. I would if I could. I don't have the game yet.
Wait, so I can visit your island, right, Derek? I can go to your island.
If we're friends on like if we exchange friend codes, then we can go to each other's islands.
Okay.
And like hang out or like drop off stuff for each other, that sort of thing. I haven't actually done it yet. But that's...
Well, you're welcome to come to my island. They got lots of weeds for you to collect.
You can pick your own weeds. I didn't say that I'd pick everyone else's.
Okay, I'm just saying if you want to collect some weeds, if you want to show me how you do it when you're fishing and you're getting the big fish, I'll be happy to learn. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, my tent is still. I still have a tent. And I'm just kicking everything around. It's a mess. I've dropped everything there and left everything in the tent. I should put stuff in the storage box. But I don't trust that storage box because it's not in my tent. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm still crafting stuff. I have an axe. I'm just chopping stuff down and find. I can go keep on and on. This is like living on a real island, to be honest. And everyone's so super nice. It's driving me crazy. I'm a New Yorker. I'm used to people being rude.
Desert Island Simulator. That's essentially what it is, right? At least in this one.
Well, listen, I've had enough simulators in my life. I had Goat Simulator, Death Stranding, now Animal Crossing.
So
I mean, Death Stranding is a simulator for where we're headed, I think.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's FedEx. It's a FedEx simulator.
Yeah, because the delivery people are the ones keeping us together as we're isolated in our houses.
Yeah,
that's true. That's actually true.
I had a friend of my, or let me see, I think brother of a friend of my girlfriend was talking about how, well, they made a post on social media that was something like, I work in a wine shop. my sister works in law enforcement, my mom works in shipping, and like another friend works in like, I don't know, grocery store or Starbucks. It's like, try quarantining this family.
Wow.
Like they all fit within the job
crazy.
description of like the essential people
necessary.
for right now,
Yeah.
which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, they're doing all the good work out there on the front lines, and you know, I mean, you know, we can't say it
Absolutely.
enough. We definitely appreciate everyone out there doing the work that needs to be done, because you know you're kind of keeping everybody safe. So
Yeah, and I was just remembering today. I got some takeout ramen from a place nearby my apartment.
yeah,
And then I was just talking to my girlfriend, and we were. Oh, she was asking me how Minka was doing. Minka, the ramen place, my favorite ramen place in Alphabet City.
it is very good.
It's on 5th and between A and B, and we're like, oh my god, totally got to get some takeout there. So then, you know, to support them. I don't want Minka to close. That would be tragic and horrible for me to move back to New York and have my favorite ramen restaurant close. So
yeah, right. Well, it's in a good neighborhood, so I have to suspect that the locals are saying, you know what, we got to keep this place
so.
afloat. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know, do that. You know, if that's the one bit of social interaction that you do or have to do or can do, you know, support the local businesses, because you know I think
Absolutely,
they're
especially in New York. I mean, that is New York.
Right. So before we let you go, we want to thank you for coming on again. I think, you know, it was great to kind of hear some inside stuff about Half-Life and, you know, catch up and, you know, welcome you back to New York and all that.
Yeah, thanks.
Is there anything that you would like to promote before we go?
I guess, I mean, if you want to go to my website, go to Game Trailer. You can subscribe to my newsletter. I probably said this last time. I just started posting some more videos on YouTube because I need to just do more of that. I get a little too perfectionist with my stuff. So I decided this week, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to make some really quick and dirty videos. So I did some videos talking about the Half-Life Alyx gameplay videos, which I did not work on, but I sort of deconstructed what I think they were thinking before, like choreographing each moment and why I thought they were well done.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah,
And are you
there's
still
that.
doing the the cutting room? Is the podcast still going?
Oh, right. I have a podcast to promote. Yeah, I have a podcast. It's called The Cut Down. If you go to cutdowncast.com, I do that with my friend Rick Thomas. He's a movie trailer editor in Hollywood. And we do that every other week. And right now we're on episode like 23 or 24. Maybe next one will be 24. So yeah, that's been doing pretty okay, I guess. We could use some more reviews on iTunes. I think we have one.
Well, there
even
you go.
though I've checked the downloads and we have more than one listener. So
Well, there you go. You know, get out there, take a listen to the Cut Down. You know, it's good stuff. Give them a rate and review on iTunes, because you know, that definitely means a lot. That really kind of goes a long way. And yeah. And I guess for us, if you want to find us online, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. And also, we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance, so check out all the fine podcasts featured on there if you're looking for more gaming goodness. So please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
Keep gaming.